to this press conference. Earlier in April, I made a statement that I thought the time had come for Bermuda to consider having independent members of parliament, as I believe the Westminster system that we inherited is not working. It hasn't worked, not only in Bermuda, but England is faced with the same problem, and many other jurisdictions. A system which says you hold an election, the winner takes all, and the leader becomes almost like a demagogue. In England, they've thrown out many leaders very rapidly. In Bermuda, it's slower. But that doesn't solve the problem. The problem is the fundamentals are wrong. Because in the Westminster system, the loyalty is to the party, and it should be to the public. And if your loyalty is to the public, then you will do things because you have a commitment to the public, having been elected by the public, to get on with the affairs of the public and not the affairs of the party. I think the time has come now that Bermuda has to really seriously consider, does it want to continue with a system that's not working? It has many flaws in it. We've heard about the complaints, whether they are, projects that should have been done, ideas that should have been implemented, the education reform, health reform, infrastructure reform, road reform, and so many other things, judicial reform. We don't have a parliament functioning in a building of parliament anymore. It's a commercial building set off to the side. So I kept thinking that, we really lost our way. And yet we have this enormous international business that just carries on and almost sort of ignores us. While our people, Bermuda people, born here, raised here, are slowly departing Bermuda, leaving, going elsewhere. I left 3 weeks ago to go to England. And at the airport, I met two couples. One, an integrated couple, and one, a black couple. And they came up to me and said to me that they're leaving to make their residence in England. They cannot afford to be in Bermuda. They want somewhere they can live in peace. I said, what do you mean by peace? And what they said is, when you can't pay your bills, and you have the moaning and the groaning going on within your family and neighborhood, you become stressed out. We are leaving here because we're stressed out, and we're going to make residence elsewhere. And that was just an experience I had getting on a plane. Now, I don't know, it could have been others there. So we're losing a lot of our people, our young people, that we should have a promise for the future, have decided that, the school system isn't working for me, so I'm going to make the most of what I can, but, unless I have an exceptional brain and, a spectrum of achievers, if I'm on the center of that up achievement level, but if I'm at the edges, I'm just left out, I'm just dismissed. I don't get the educational I need, I don't get the assistance I need to get me to where I need to get to. I was a victim of that, so I can feel that. I'm a dyslexic individual with an eyesight problem. Fortunately, I was nurtured and cared for and was able to get through that. But a lot of kids don't get through it. And you can't blame the children. They are a product of our actions. And that's what I'm talking about today. We've got to a stage now where party loyalty is the number one thing. And whatever the party decides, or the leader of the party decides, people get behind and blindsidedly follow the leader. Almost a form of tribalism. And all I'm asking is people stop and think, what is it we need? I had to stop and think, and I decided that we needed independent members who had who had been able to achieve something in their personal lives and then make a contribution to the political system. And before I asked other people to do it, when Mr. Dunkley stepped down in Devonshire North, I'm sorry, Mr. Dunkley stepped down in Smith North, constituency 10. When he stepped down, I saw it as an opportunity to make a statement that said, this is the time for me now to step in and try to make my last contribution to Bermuda by running as an independent member and encouraging others when election time comes around to run as independent. So I'm trying to be the precursor or the preamble to the other stage that would take place. And as such, be prepared to stand up. And when I asked during my earlier conference, I asked people to give me some indication as to what they thought was the idea. From Somerset to St. George's, PLP members, OVA people, supporters from all walks of life have all come to me and said, Sir John, I'm so glad that you're helping us to now redefine Bermuda. A new beginnings, where we begin something new. With that enthusiasm, I have elected or decided that I should run. And so therefore, I will be submitting my name as a candidate for Devonshire, for Smith South. I keep thinking Mr. Donkey of Devonshire, for Smith South, number 10.
Smith North.
And the reason for it, Smith North, number 10. And the reason for it is very simple. That if I get elected, it's an indication that people want change. That people are prepared to embrace change. If I don't get elected, it means the fact that there's a message that people are quite happy to keep the status quo. This is not about me. I've been premier, had my chance, done my thing, got all the accolades to be offered. This is not about me. This is about Bermuda and future generations. So I'm asking the people in that constituency 10 to support my efforts to help to reform Bermuda. And so I will be putting myself up as nomination date, and as such, which will be on the 8th of May. And I'll be holding a constituency meeting on the 13th of May at the Golf Club, Ocean View Golf Club. I'll be holding a meeting there at Ocean View Golf Club so that people can ask questions, have a broad discussion, and hopefully we can be in a position where we can march on until the 22nd, which will be a time for determination. But this is where we are. And I just want to say to the people of Constituency 10, your support is not just about me. It's not about me. It's about how do you see what Bermuda needs for the future. We're independent members from all walks of life, black, white, rich or poor, back of town, downtown, wherever, can now participate without having a party allegiance, their allegiance to a leader, but a party allegiance to Bermuda with a leader, obviously has to be a leader, doesn't have to be me, that will lead the country into a direction that says we're going to rebuild our infrastructure, we're going to rebuild our relationship overseas, we're going to bring relevance to Bermuda and enjoy the benefits of what Bermuda has to offer, not just for a few, as it's turning out to be, but for the many. And that's what, if you can't do that, then you have failed to fulfill a commitment, or you have to take care of the lesser in order to make sure that the less the people who have something can enjoy it. You can't leave people out of the system and expect them to just hold on, lay on, and be obedient. They will eventually get tired of it. And before that, and that's when I came to power in 1981, 82, when we had the industrial strike. The country was in a mess. We lost our tourist business. The country was in a shambles. What did I do? I looked around and said, what can we do to make this thing work? And as a result of it, we bought the international colony to Bermuda. And we got them through in 1988. By 1995, we were considered the richest country in the world. If you look at it now, we've slipped way down the scale of wealth in the country. We still have a reasonably per capita because of population. So our population stayed small. Cayman's population used to be half our size, and now it's getting to approaching where it's almost double our size. What is that telling us? They've been growing and we've been shrinking or staying the same for the last 20 years. Keep that up with inflation, you're going backwards and your people are hurting more. So anyhow, I just want to say I will be running. I will be making myself available. We'll have a conference. We have a town hall meeting on the 13th. I hope people will come out who want to ask questions and so forth. I hope the media's there. I invite them so that we can have a good hard talk. I know there are some people saying, well, you're going to take votes from the OBA and they might lose a seat. But if you're going from 6 to 5, what does it mean? That doesn't mean anything. You don't gained anything. The problem remains. If you won 10 seats and you went from 6 to 16, you still wouldn't have enough. So this is about a change that says, can we change Bermuda that everybody participates in it, and that it is a collective effort and not just an individual effort. So I'm here, open. I will be asking people to come forward and give support to it. Thank you very much.
So John, just a couple of very quick questions. You touched on the OBA, running against the OBA. Don't you feel there's a risk that you could actually split the OBA vote, thus allowing the PLP in, which will continue the status quo you don't want to see continued?
Well, let's put it this way to you. If that happened, they'd go from 6 seats to 5 seats. Does that make a difference in Parliament? Based upon what we've seen happening up there, does it really make a difference?
But the point is,
but if I won, and we did get people feeling as though, okay, there's a chance for independent members coming forward, and we found out we had a parliament of independent members, as they have in the Isle of Man, that works very successfully, you got to take a chance. If not, you sit there, maintain the status quo, always afraid of the consequences, which are not adverse consequences, of subsequent consequences. Because at the end of the day, going from six seats to 5 seats won't make a difference. But going from party system to an independent member system makes a big difference.
Just on that, you railed against the Westminster System. You say you'd like to see more independents sitting in the House of Assembly. I have to point out that you were Bermuda's longest serving Premier under a Westminster System, which still works today. Why has it suddenly stopped working when it worked for you?
Well, it is because the world has changed. Social media has come a long way. It's come into play. Things are far more exposed. The burden of government and the responsibility of government to the public has increased as technology and advance in methodology has improved. Then people have to be more educated, more prepared to take on those jobs and so forth. So we're talking about a world that is, and now that we're going into a world where you have AI, which changes again. So the world keeps moving, and it doesn't move backwards or downward, it moves upward. And the public has to be educated and given conditions that allows them to move in concert with that process. And so you can't leave the people behind and the world moves on because the gap between the haves and the have-nots, the gap between the people that are comfortable with this life and the people that are not comfortable with life, the gap gets wider. And so what I'm saying is we have to close that gap. The Westminster system, where you end up purely party, loyal to the party, loyal to getting reelected, getting the party reelected, and forgetting the fact that there's the public out there have been conditioned by through historical relationships, voting in one direction, not realizing the fact that they're heading in the wrong direction because they're so used to it. You know, Jamal once said it was a piece of the road less traveled. We must take that road less traveled for the first time. We want to get to the same destiny, but we might find out the road that hasn't been traveled is a better road to get to we want to get to.
Have you been contacted by anybody else who are considering standing as independent?
Yes, I have.
Can you name names?
No, I will not name them. But there have been people. In fact, there was a chap came to my office just this morning, just before I came down here. So you might have seen him coming here and going. And he came in, he said, "So John, I've listened to everything you've said, and I would like to put my name down as one of the peak prospects of an independent member." How many of them out there? I don't know. You see, everybody wants everybody wants a packed formula, wants everything fixed, and everything is broken, but everybody wants a solution that's already tried and working. You've got to take and do something.
If you are elected, if you are successful, will you have an agenda in the House and Assembly? Will you stand for anything in particular?
I would stand for the people. What I would do is I was busy, if I did win, I was busy getting on the agenda of independent members. That's my main agenda. Again, there's no sense me standing in the House making a lot of noise and the government listening to me but doing nothing about it. I'm not going to be doing that. I'd spend my time trying to prepare to produce a new methodology and a new agenda for Bermuda. As you know, I've done several plans, schemes on how to restructure Bermuda. I've done several schemes on how to take and look at, our judicial system needs reviewing, whether looks at it, our docks, our transportation systems, our school systems, and our healthcare. It's just driving people crazy. Not only driving people crazy, driving doctors crazy, because doctors don't know, because the hospital, they need people in the hospital, but they can't perform because there are too many people lying up in the hospital, occupying bedtime. But government doesn't want to spend money on some other homes that are closed, maybe some of these schools that are closed, maybe some of these other places that are closed. And more importantly is, an independent system should embrace more people, because it's not a party system, should embrace more people from a cross section of the community to come in and to participate in some of the solutions to these problems. So I'm not here to solve the problems. I'm here to produce a methodology and agenda for reviewing these issues and solving them.
What about the FDM? Would you like to see them stand as well?
Oh, yes. I'm never against democracy, and if the FDM wants to stand, and I've talked to Mr. Bean, I wished him well, he wished me well. He's decided not to put a candidate up against me because he feels as though it's time for a change in that area.
So he's confirmed that to you, that he's not
He said it
going to put a
publicly.
candidate up?
He put it publicly. He said that publicly because he feels as though that, if you want to change the system, the first thing you got to do is to do something that allows the system to change, and that's what he's doing. Putting another candidate up there and splitting the vote 4 ways is not going to add anything to the process, And so I think that everybody should embrace the change, whether it's PLP or OVA. Everybody should say, "I embrace a change." Doesn't mean the fact that we're not going to be running and representing something. But if you want something that's new that might serve the people, the public, well, we support a change.
So John, you put an email during your initial announcement. What was the response from the greater public or the people of Seatown? What's the greatest concerns at present?
The greatest concern, I think, I'm handing you a handout. Not those concerns are in the handout. But the concerns are, I think the most important concern is not material, it's relationships. Who's looking after my affairs? And what are the competence levels of who are the competent people looking after my affairs? What are who's communicating with me about, who's listening to me about my problems, and who's communicating to me about my problems, and who's offered me partial solutions to them and helped me to get where I need to get to? Who's looking after Bermuda internationally in relationship, whether it's the United States or whether it's Britain or wherever else, or NATO? After all, we sit in the middle of the Atlantic. The world is getting very hostile, and we're going to be vulnerable. Who's building that relationship, as I had to do with the treaty? We did have the American bases here, we had the Canadian bases here, we had the British bases here. They're all gone now. They made a mess of, helped to make a mess of the world, and they've left us very exposed out here in the middle Atlantic. Who's talking about that process that does that?
Have you had an opportunity, I guess, within the last year or so to have a one-on-one with Premier Brett? Has he opened his door
No.
to have it? Not at all.
I mean, we've had casual, how you doing? I talked to my ax the other day about it. I said to him, this fintech business, well, it seems like it's just collapsing in front of us. What's going on? He said, no, the fintech business is doing fine. I said, well, I don't know much about it. Maybe you can brief me, but I haven't heard a thing since then.
Sir John Swan, does it concern you that you may weaken the opposition?
I'm sorry, Kate.
Does it concern you that you may weaken the opposition?
Might be the opposition.
Weakened.
Weaken. Does it concern you that you might weaken the opposition?
Does it concern me that I might weaken the opposition? No, it doesn't, because the opposition only has 6 seats, so it gets 5. What's the difference does it make? If it was going to be a difference in them being the government or the opposition, but if they won 12 seats more, they still would be the opposition. So these are boogeyman tactics that have worked for so long now, and people have just got they're brainwashed by it. So weaken the opposition how? You had Dunkley, who was a competent individual, a lot of experience, former premier. So now you have Mr. King, who has no experience. He has some opinions, which everybody has an opinion. He might have some competence in certain areas. But do you think his opinion is going to make much difference with the opposition, with the government? The answer is no. So what we're talking about is a seismic shift as opposed to a little trauma earthquake. We're talking about I'm trying to get a seismic shift. I'm trying to get it so the government can no longer just take people for granted and put agendas out there, do decisions. They're still pursuing CARICOM. They're still pursuing legislative changes. And one of your correspondent people in the media area talked about the premier was rejected by his own party members with a proposal he was putting about party change. What I'm proposing is a group of independent people connected to the community, and everything has to be transparent. When we spend money, it's transparent. People say, well, how much money you spent on this campaign so far? I said, truth matter is we spent $100. $100. Yet you'll see other people spending gobs of money on campaigns. But when we open it up, and if I should win, if I do public solicitation, everything will be bank account, and each month reported to the public as to how the money is being spent. I think we have to get to a stage where we're trying. Too much money is disappearing. I'm not saying anybody's stealing it or taking it, but where's the money going? I heard just the other day they were trying to borrow some $800,000 more, $800 million more. Where is the money going? And it can only be debt you're creating, and who's going to pay for it? How much money do we have left in the pension fund, and what is the actuarial assessment of people being able to retire, you and you and you being able to retire and be assured that you're going to be able to collect the pension? You can't be. No accountability. We had this. I read the paper just a couple of days ago. It was about the inquiry into cyber attack. You know, it was suggested that it was suggested that an independent inquiry be held, maybe a couple of people, lawyers, a couple of people in the technology area, but independent of government. No, take it to Parliament, where government has a 30-seat, I should say a 24-seat majority. You go to the Public Accounts Committee, and even though the opposition is chairing it, but the government has all the information that provides the committee with the work. The end result is you can never get a clear report. It's not. You should be able to have. Why you have a judicial committee is because you can subpoena information, and you can get information, because there might be things that will not be brought to light. And so everything is cloak and dagger, and cloak and dagger destroys. It destroys mental development. It destroys security, and people sense that there's fairness and balance. And so I'm prepared to say we're going to have a lot of judicial reviews on a lot of things that need to be put out into the open. But they'll be done not by biasness, but by independent individuals. That's when you start involving the public with the process. What's happened is the international business absorbed all these lawyers, absorbed all these people, and because they've had nothing to do in the private public sector area, is to retool that now so that there is another engagement process taking place. If not, all we do is have a one side. We have an economy now that used to be Bermuda up here, and then international and tourist business here. Now we have an economy like this, where international business, tourism is here, and little Bermuda's down here. And this is big, and this is small. This used to be big, and this was growing, but now this is overtaken. So we've been overtaken, and I don't even think the government or people understand that. And therefore, because it takes a lot of strategic planning to shift the ideas back to some normality.
What's your thoughts on the, I guess you could say, the inexperience of?
You guys speak up.
What's your thoughts on some of the inexperience of this particular administration?
I'm not going to criticize this administration or the premier. He only can work with the tools the country gives him to work with, which is election time. Election is the public tool. The premier and the members of government are the elected tool that's given the job to do by the public. So every 5 years, or within a 5-year period, the public has a chance to change it or keep it the same. I'm saying, at this moment, let's start the preparation for a change. And if the public decides they want to keep it the same, then we have to live with the consequences of that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sir John.
Okay?
Yeah, many thanks. Good luck.
Huh?
Good luck.
Hey, what's all about? You want to ask any questions?